hopefully that wrestler guy doesn't show up. Oh, hopefully that leg lock guy doesn't show up. Because
Yeah.
like the reality is you're saying hopefully, but you actually want it.
Yeah.
You want those different faces. It makes a rich, dense community of the more faces you see, the more you have to adapt.
Now, here we are with the man himself, Dharma. Man, I have seen you all over social media. I have heard a lot of stories about you. Yeah, I'm new to the community myself. I've only been in Saigon for, the last 18 months. It's what a pleasure it is to finally meet you. Welcome
Yeah,
to the podcast.
Thank you, man. Thank you. 18 months and you've really established yourself here, like with a good reputation too. Everyone speaks very highly of you. So yeah.
Oh wow, that's great to hear. Yeah. So you've been here. When did you first get here?
So I moved here maybe about 7 years ago. Lived here for about a year, and then I would come back for a month at a time throughout the years up until COVID.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of change in Saigon, huh?
Yeah. So I'm probably part of phase 2 of the Jiu Jitsu boom in Saigon after SOL, Saigon Jiu Jitsu, Kimura. I think there's one more that was around. I'm part of the SOL group that started, which Paul was a part of at 1.2. Yeah, I mean,
So I've heard a lot. People talk a lot about Saigon Jiu Jitsu. Well, tell us a little bit about, what was it like? How did it feel there?
the specific club was named Saigon Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Saigon Jiu Jitsu club.
Okay, yeah. So Saigon Jiu Jitsu used to have like the best open mat. As far as the most high level guys there, it was a lot of fun. You'd go there. You had Igor, you had Joe, you had Matt Fujeki, you had all these guys who were like, kind of like a bit more competitive or a bit more technical. And they kind of all focused at that one place. And so you could come in on, I think, Saturday or Sundays, and they had like a big open mat. Always were pretty welcoming, a lot more gi focus. And where SLL was purely no gi. And so it was a nice little mix, and everyone was very welcoming to like new approaches and different ideas. But there wasn't as much cross training back then. It's just something I noticed. Yeah.
Okay. And what is SOL?
SL, Saigon Lutte Livre.
Oh,
I don't think it's around anymore.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. I've heard people talk about that.
Yeah, that's back with Eric. I forget his name, and then Eric Adams, I think, carried it on after him.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Was it more like a wrestling?
It was definitely more like lutte livre, wrist locks, wrestling, a lot of like catch wrestling style jiu-jitsu. But it was basically just no gi grappling, and foot lock, you name it. It was good stuff there.
Yeah. Awesome. So, just where did you first do jiu-jitsu?
I started jiu-jitsu when I was a kid, actually, in 7th grade with a guy named Luna. And he introduced me to kickboxing and jiu-jitsu and MMA before like UFC was around. And then after that, I did it for a couple of years, and I stopped, focused only on striking throughout high school. And then I moved to Saigon because I had a heart issue, actually. My doctor was like, you have pre-hypertension. And I was like, well, I'm fit, I'm healthy. And they're like, yeah, this makes no sense. It's just a genetic random issue. And they're like, you need to get on medication or you're going to have hypertension in like within 2 months. And I was like, it's that bad. So we kept doing tests. And I was talking to an alternative doctor, and they said, hey, if you reduce your stress for those running like a business and working in mental health, you'll probably like do a lot better. And so I said, all right, I'm moving to Saigon because I had some friends here, and they were like, Saigon's a really interesting place, man. And sure enough, when I got here, like I almost got in an accident on the mopeds, and I knew I needed to focus on flexibility. And so I signed up for a year at California Fitness for their yoga program. It's just fairly expensive. I don't know how expensive it is now, but 7 years ago, it was still fairly expensive. Yeah. I just paid up front. And every time I go to the yoga class, it would be like 50 women, and they'd all just be staring at me. And I'd just be like way too intimidated. So I would just step out.
That doesn't sound like a bad problem, man.
A problem, but it was a bit much. I don't know if I'd be able to focus on the yoga.
I wonder if they still have that program.
But interesting, a dude named Philip, our English dude, he was like, oh, you're working on your flexibility? Well, I worked with him, and he was like, I do jiu-jitsu at SLL, and I got pretty flexible. And I was like, martial arts, that sounds way more up my alley. And sure enough, I started doing jiu-jitsu, and my flexibility went up, my stress went down, and it was just natural to me. And so, like, in a lot of ways, it changed the trajectory of my life. Went back to America a few years later to find like I'm completely fine.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, in a lot of ways, jiu-jitsu kind of saved my life. And I know that's a kind of played out thing, but it's
You literally, in your case,
literally saved my life. Yeah.
that I think this might be the first time I've ever heard that, like, uh, to where you actually had a medical condition,
Yeah.
and obviously you're in tip top shape. You've been doing martial arts since you were in high school, or you perhaps even before.
Yeah.
The doctors told you had a heart condition.
Yeah.
You started doing jiu-jitsu. Now you're good to go. Wow.
Insane. And it's like, even now when I'm back here 7 years later, it's like a good reminder of like, okay, where am I at with my health? Every time I'm up there and having a hard time breathing, I'm like, okay, cardiovascular health. Like, this is a good reminder of, if you have a good jiu-jitsu group where people are holistically looking out for each other, which I've noticed the community here now is beautiful. I know we'll get to that, but, you should have like some of these pillars in the room. And I kind of was open talking about my heart thing with everybody. And so people would be like, oh, how are you? And it was a present dynamic and like trying to get healthier. And I was healthy when I came here. I was already fit. I was already running, doing all these things, but it was the stress dynamic. And I think being under pressure, the quotes from jiu-jitsu, coal into a diamond with enough pressure, all this stuff, it actually worked because I allowed the pressure of like being in those bad situations to really kind of mold how I looked at life. And like when I was out on the moped and it was like super annoying and everyone's like, hop, 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 whatever else, eventually it became this like thing where I was like, this is an opportunity for me to like breathe under pressure. And yeah, I think it came down to breathing, stretching, and just releasing all the bullshit.
When you look back on that in the phase one of the jiu-jitsu here in Saigon, what are some like special moments that you can kind of look back on, whether it's Paul or someone else?
I think me and Paul got here around the same time. Paul virgin. And all I remember when he first got here, so Paul was bigger than me. He probably was like 240, 250 at the time. Maybe off, but he was pretty heavy. At the time, I was probably like maybe 200 pounds, maybe a little, and probably 10 pounds lighter than I am now. And Paul was this big, hairy dude. And he had like a lot of experience because he was training at Henzo's in New York, if I'm correct. At SL, there wasn't many guys with a lot of experience besides the head coach, Eric Colleen. He was just this crazy guy. He would like to roll a lot, and then he'd like to drink hard. So you'd be with Paul, and then we'd go out together once we got close enough, and Paul would be like, he'd see guys, and they'd like be a foreign dude and kind of look at you funny, and I'd have to like remind Paul, he'd be like, I'm gonna choke this fool out. This fool doesn't even know. Blah, blah, blah. He was like always trouble. And Paul, you know what the hell I'm talking about. Wow. Always trouble. And like, the thing is like other martial artists. So if you notice, I don't have any cauliflower, but I've been doing martial arts for like, since I was a kid, striking, grappling, MMA, jiu-jitsu. I never got the cauliflower. So we'd be at the bar and dudes would come up to Paul. They'd come up to Eric Adams and they'd see a little bit of cauliflower and they'd like, os. And they look at me and they'd be like, bodybuilder, and like no handshake. And Paul would be like, I could tell that guy just thinks you're a bodybuilder, man, but he doesn't know you choked him the fuck out. Paul was always like a bit of an instigator, a bit of like a wild boy, but he was the most loyal, down guy for jiu-jitsu. He was like, yeah, Paul was a wild dude. At the same time, he like loved the community. He was all about training all the time. And like, as much as we had fun going out and just being wild guys, we had a lot of fun too. So on the mats, a lot of fun on the mats, just showing up. No matter what we did, we'd still show up. So,
Wow, that's awesome. Just knowing Paul the last 18 months has been great.
Heck yeah.
He's always finds ways to contribute to the community. He even went down to Malaysia with us.
Oh yeah.
He went down to Malaysia to coach, Team Vietnam, and he did a last minute Oh, yeah. Last minute he decided to do it. And, you know, it's just like, I had so much fun with Paul. Yeah. You just like, no matter what you're doing with Paul, you're having fun. We
100%.
were just like eating like, just street food.
Yeah.
You know, with Paul and some of the other folks there.
Yeah.
And, it's just they're just special memories.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
100%.
know. So Paul was actually the one who named Saigon Super Fights.
Oh, really?
He's the one who named it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they're just having this year, and the idea came from it, you know, on this podcast as well. And then Paul named it, and then they're like, all right. And, so it's,
I'm not surprised. Paul's always been kind of pushing things forward. Even back in phase 2 of jiu-jitsu, like kind of when I entered, Paul was the dude who was like, oh, we need to train over here, or hey, we need to get this guy training with us. He always was like trying to make the connection. He knew I was always down. I was kind of like, shit, where there's good jiu-jitsu, Dharma will go. And so Paul was like, okay, let's do it. So he always kind of had this kind of innovative brain towards like connecting people. Even if he didn't have the ideas, he was like, well, let's just try to connect. And he also was big on like, if something was like kind of like whack somewhere, it was like, okay, don't train somewhere else. Paul was the dude who was like, nah, we still got to go train over there.
yeah, for sure.
So he's been about community. The fact that he now is kind of like a coach, and I think he's coached at different places, if I'm correct, because when I came back, he was coaching somewhere else. I'm so happy to see that he's part of that whole group of like kind of jiu-jitsu leaders.
For sure.
And like, it's also cool because everyone's good at something else. And I'm not just meaning with jiu-jitsu, but like what you're doing is a big part of jiu-jitsu. The entertainment, the funniness, the like bringing the stories together, because I think a lot of the jiu-jitsu guys get kind of lost in just the technique, and eventually the community aspect falls apart. But you guys doing the super fights, you guys doing like the podcast, like, oh, man, this is what jiu-jitsu needs everywhere.
Yes, it's super cool. It's a lot of fun. The reason it's a lot of fun is because we have people like Paul, people like Vince, we've got people like yourself, and so many people. I believe that we have a lot of hidden talents.
Yeah,
we have a lot of hidden talents that can contribute to the overall growth of the community.
Heck yeah.
And we can, the two big things that we see an opportunity in is, uniting and connecting the community here.
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of great people with interesting stories.
Heck yeah.
That would do, once we share it, people we'll become closer and we'll respect each other more.
Yeah.
And then there's the international like visibility
100%.
On our community.
100%.
And once they see that, and we're starting to see it now.
Heck yeah.
Once they see that, now we're going to get more eyes on, more resources, and we believe that we're going to get more opportunities.
That's how left.
Even for the Vietnamese. And then that's what we did when we went to Malaysia.
Yeah.
ADCC Malaysia and ASJGF Malaysia are sponsors of the Saigon grappling community, or Vietnam grappling community. So they gave away free registrations to Saigon Super Fights winners.
Nice.
So when Paul went down to Malaysia, that was when all the Saigon Super Fights winners went down there.
Wow.
A lot of these guys, first time they've ever left Vietnam, first time they've ever competed internationally.
Wow.
And it was just to be there with them.
Oh yeah.
Was like some Soy Jiu Jitsu guys.
Yeah.
It was an incredible experience.
Heck yeah.
So
I kind of believe that exposure is going to be the big game changer, because when I did ADCC in Taiwan, it was such a like huge experience to like be there. And I've never been on that platform before, and just the level of talent. And I'm like, I can only imagine like getting outside of just doing jiu-jitsu in Saigon when I lived here made such a huge difference. And like the talent is deep. Like when I go to, I've only of course got to train at over under, but I'm going to be hopping around to, what's your guys' gym?
Saigon Grappling Academy.
Saigon Grappling Academy, and I'm supposed to jump around to another gym as well too. So everywhere I've went, just the technique and the amount of guys you cross train, it's just like, this is how jiu-jitsu is supposed to be.
Yes.
You guys have a formula here to have like really dense jiu-jitsu. I was just in Thailand, right? Training out there, and it's great, don't get me wrong. But the no-gi scene out here is so much more, in my opinion, diverse. As far as Bangkok, I can't speak on Phuket. They have a lot of like fight teams down there.
Yeah.
But like as far as Bangkok, it's just the diversity out here. of like people just hopping from gym to gym to gym to gym. It's freaking like, wow, this is how jiu-jitsu is supposed to be, man.
Yes.
I never know who's going to be at the midday classes because all of a sudden you'll have a coach from a different gym or whatever else, and you're dealing with a totally different style. It's almost a dream come true. And I really feel like if things keep moving in this direction, it's going to be freaking insane.
It's really special because, you know, it's like you basically have a bunch of small gyms with these microcultures, and we're all helping each other grow.
Heck yes.
You know, and that's true for almost every gym and Saigon and 80% or more in Vietnam, right?
Heck yeah.
So it's almost like a bunch of startups.
Yeah.
Allocating resources for the growth of this entire industry or this community. And it's when I came, you know, it didn't take me long to notice this.
Oh yeah.
Right. My plan was to come because I'd lived in Hanoi like in 2017, 2018. This was, you know, I went to like Dragon, you know, and I heard about Ronin, but I didn't really go there. So I didn't know. That's the first time I ever did jiu-jitsu at all. And so like then I left and moved to Colombia, as you know. And you know, roll around with Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu. What a guy, man.
What a phenomenal practitioner and just dude. Yeah.
There's really no one like Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, without a doubt. Shout out Jiu-Jitsu. You the man.
Jiu-Jitsu is incredible. So then actually Jiu-Jitsu actually helped me start my coaching career.
Really?
Yeah, what happened was they had an AtLab, they didn't have open mat, but they had a mat that was open. And I was like, yeah, Jiu-Jitsu, can I just, it's 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I was like, can I come and just like do some roll with some people? He's like, yeah, let's go ahead. So I just started doing that. And then I was like, I would just bring people, anyone who would go.
Yeah.
I trained everywhere there as well. I also trained in LA, Colombia, which is insane. Did you ever go there?
I never got through over there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was totally
Oh my God, dude. The wrestling coach there, I wrestled in college D1, right? Some time ago.
Okay, well.
And but still, I don't feel that I still like for my age, I feel like I have decent physical. I don't really feel at much of a physical disadvantage. The head coach there, Michael, out of like 150 takedowns, he probably got 146 of them.
Nice.
Wipe the floor with me, man. Like wipe the floor, like destroy me. It's not even close. And he would, and like pretty much only MMA fighters were in that class.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
And it's like, and so they have that competition mindset that you would expect in a college wrestling practice. And that's what really stood out to me about that. But anyway, I would take people from there, like, yo, let's do some open mat at 6 a.m. At AtLab, and we would do that. So then GJ saw me doing that, and then he ended up training for this big tournament in Brazil. And he was like, hey, Zach, you want to teach the no-gi class? I was like, yeah, I'll teach the gi. Of course I will. And every time, like, it would be like, an hour before class. I'm going to go to class no matter what anyway. I get a message from Jiu. Hey, Zach, man, can you do me a big favor? I knew what he was going to ask.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, man, can you teach the no-gi class?
Yeah.
So I did that for a while. And then one day, he gave me the purple belt.
Freaking A.
Yes.
Every brother in Jiu-Jitsu was pretty impressive.
You got a purple belt from Jiu-Jitsu like that.
Yeah.
I think there was another gym that wanted to give me a purple belt, but I didn't want to do that. I was willing to wait another 6 to 12 months just to get it from Jiu-Jitsu because I had so much respect for Jiu-Jitsu.
Heck yeah.
You know, that guy is
Jiu-Jitsu is always there.
Forever. Jiu-Jitsu's like, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not really good at no gis. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm not really good at it. I was like, it was
Cap Jiu-Jitsu.
And he was so good with leg locks.
Oh yeah. I think you were telling me that, which is, I'm not too surprised because when I met him, we started doing leg locks. And then he's like a technician. So he's kind of studying it. And like, he constantly wanted to roll because he was like, okay, I need to figure this out. And so when you told me by the time you were training with him, he was already good at leg locks. I'm like, okay, I'm not surprised at all. He's a wizard.
He was always pushing, studying. I always tell us that you guys need to study at home.
Yes.
You guys need, you could tell he was serious. And it was, I just remember the very first time I went to, this was back in Cabrina. It was a Cabrina gym.
When it was Cabrina.
Yeah, he was Cabrina. And you're the coach always wants to roll to new students. And I went there and I rolled him for 6 minutes. And the way that, like, I felt like I didn't even know jiu-jitsu. Just the look on his face was like, do you even know jiu-jitsu, dude? Like, I was just like, I was so humbled. I mean, they had a lot of brown belts at the time. They're all black belts now.
Oh, yeah.
But all of them beat me really bad, too.
Oh, they're all really good.
So just as soon as I went there, I was like, this is my gym. I actually moved from Laurellis to Poblado just to get a Gio gym.
I always stayed right up the road.
Yeah. I was living in Laurellis, and one day I didn't have my bike for whatever reason. I took a taxi, and it took me an hour and a half to get there.
It's just not worth it.
I was 30 minutes late. I said, that's it. No more Laurellis.
No more Laurellis.
And so I just literally, like, I moved to a place where I can walk to the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I would just run straight up the hill.
Yep.
To the gym.
Yep. Same here.
So I was like, so, I mean, I've literally moved to be close, to AtLab and Jiu.
Without a doubt. Yeah, Jijo's a freaking brain, man. He's a brain. He loves jiu-jitsu. His guys are good. Like Charles, I give the really tall brother's name, and even the really short guy. They're all black belts now. I remember like when we were all kind of coming up, those guys are just like, all of them super invested. None of them skip a little. You go to certain gyms, and they go, oh, you're hard, I'm not gonna roll you. Even if you're not rolling hard, they're just kind of like, I want easy rolls. And those guys are exact opposite. They come up to me every day. They're like, this guy's did a leg box. Can you roll? And I'd be like, damn, these guys have the best mindset. And of course, Jijo was like, as soon as I'd get there, Jijo was like, no, he's mine. And he'd call me out. I'd be like, no, we're going to roll.
Yeah.
He's like, what, you want to go back to Beth? And I'd be like, no, but I will. Because anyone who rolls with Jijo, regardless of it, if you're not getting tapped or however it's going, you know it's going to be relentless with Jijo. He's going to constantly be moving to the next position. His transitions, his chaining, it's beautiful. In my opinion, it's beautiful.
Of course.
Love to roll him. I'm like, 50, 60 pounds heavier than Jijo? And it was always like constantly having the flow, constantly having to move. My strength can only go so far. So yeah, I appreciate him. I have a similar experience with respect for Jijo and his whole crew down there.
Yeah. Dude, did you ever meet Wand? Yeah, Wand.
Oh, wow.
He's a small brown belt.
Okay.
Probably only weighs 130 pounds.
Is he?
He's insanely good.
Okay. Is he from the States or is he from there?
I think he's also from the States. I think, and he speaks fluent English. So I think he's maybe from both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I know. I wonder if he's the guy.
He's got good long, usually have long, straight black hair.
Okay.
But he was, him and I had some of the best rolls. Like it was like, we were quite competitive.
Okay.
He was a gi. He was more of a gi guy. He was still,
heck yeah,
very good.
Heck yeah.
But when I was coaching the wrestling, like I just coached wrestling when Gigi let me coach. He would come to the wrestling, and he learned so fast.
Heck
but did you ever meet Nick?
Yeah,
the Australian guy.
Yeah, Nick. I know Nick well. We hung out a bit.
Nick is a funny guy.
He's a funny guy. He's a brown belt now, or
he's a brown belt. He was brown belt when I was there.
Okay, because he got his purple, I think, when I first got there.
Okay,
and then got his brown. Yeah, Nick's super cool. Nick Chu or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Nick's a cool guy. Loves jiu-jitsu as well too.
Yeah,
a lot of guys down there. It's interesting because you wouldn't mix that. Well, it's not that you wouldn't expect Colombia, but you just don't know how serious that particular group is about jiu-jitsu. And then like MMA Colombia is like very around grappling and the arts around it.
Yeah, there's just an MMA competition.
MMA competition, yeah.
Wait, it's not for everybody, but I loved it.
Oh, heck yeah.
Man,
heck yeah.
I mean, they are serious, man. I mean, It's just like a killer workout.
Yeah, Charles would always tell me like, "Oh yeah, if we want to go down there and wrestle," and I'm like, I really don't want to go down there and wrestle, but he would say it's like really good wrestling. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Charles was a specimen as well too. Really good
Yeah.
jujitsu. Did you ever meet Al?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. Al was like always in his brain about jujitsu as well too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good group of guys down there, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, right after I left Colombia
Um,
and came here, my plan was actually to go to Da Nang.
okay, nice.
And I didn't know. I knew there was just like one gym, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'll just make it work." But then I just saw how special the community was here,
Yes.
and I could just feel
Yeah.
like the second gym I went to was probably like Team Shark. I went to their open mat or something,
Yeah.
and like Alex took me out. Alex and Q took me out to the coffee, and they're super cool. I was like, man, this is
Yeah.
what I've been looking for. Yeah, I felt welcome in
Yeah.
Saigon immediately.
Yes.
And it was because of them.
Without a doubt.
And so then I went to a few other gyms like Corey's, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to miss out on this. I could just tell, I could just feel that it was about to explode,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to miss out on it.
Oh, not at all.
Right.
It's something special about Saigon. People will always ask me like, "Oh, when you come back to Vietnam, why aren't you like just traveling everywhere?" I'm like, to be honest, like I want to be part of the community.
Yeah.
It has less to do with like sightseeing when I come here. This is like kind of a second home for me in a lot of ways. It's like, I'll even say the food community, everything out here. It's a really interesting fusion of Vietnamese and foreigners. You'll go to certain places and you don't see that fusion. I've lived in like 4 countries in Asia, and like the fusion that's out here of like when you go to the classes for jujitsu, majority of the class, if not half the class, is always Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And it's kind of beautiful. It's like you're talking to everybody, where if I go to classes in Taiwan sometimes, I'll talk to none of the Thai people. And it's not because I don't want to, there's just no interaction. But here, like I just went to under. I'm interacting with everybody. People from around the world, and it's all very just kind of cohesive. And like the space is made for that. I'll give credit to the Vietnamese culture, but I'll also just say that like jiu-jitsu community out here right now, this third phase of jiu-jitsu out here, they've seen the mistakes of the past and they're ready to kind of like build this up. And I can see like Corey loves to be in his technician mode. Yeah, I've known Corey for a while as well too, and like he's an essential part of the community. You need that.
Yeah.
You have guys like you who are like entrepreneurially thinking like, oh, how do we make events? How do we make this like building blocks so people can like get more exposure, try more things? It's huge. You have guys like Paul who are like, hey, yeah, man, let's go over there. Let's do this. Networking. I know I'm just focused on this limited group, and I know there's way more people now.
Yeah.
I come from a jiu-jitsu community in Hawaii. I own a gym in Hawaii. And Hawaii has a deep reach in jiu-jitsu. You know, we have BJ Penn, we have like Rolando Montero, though. We have all these world champions that all live there. You do not cross-train in Hawaii. It's a really weird thing. I cross-train, and I'm kind of looked at as like he hops around. It's not really looked positively upon by the coaches.
Yeah.
But it is looked positively upon by the students, because everyone knows you got to cross-train if you want to see different things. But like I look at it in a place that has lots of resources for jiu-jitsu, and we're not doing it right in Hawaii. And I'm okay saying that. The coaches know how I feel about it. At the same time, in Saigon, I come here and I'm like, okay, they're doing it right. I literally, when I hear the coaches talking to each other, I can see that you guys are all thinking about the community first.
Yeah.
And less about like just the idea of part gym versus everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'll give it to like the first guy who I saw who had that mindset and was like a world champion was like Moku out of Hawaii. And he would always be Team Hawaii. He'd always bring together the best people, and he'd just be like, yeah, let's just train together. Let's do it regularly. And so I think like that type of mindset is like not only contagious, but it's fun. It makes jiu-jitsu so much more fun. Just like having to deal with a different style every time. You don't know who's going to show up. It's kind of like,
I know.
shit, hopefully that wrestler guy doesn't show up. Oh, hopefully that leg lock guy doesn't show up. Because like the reality is you're saying hopefully, but you actually want it. You want those different faces. It makes a rich, dense community of the more faces you see, the more you have to adapt.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So how many, you live on the Big Island.
I live on the Big Island
of Hawaii. I've always been so intrigued with the Big Island because of the topography.
That's what's weird.
Because it's like, you have a small island, it goes up to 13,000 feet. It's the tall peak, right? I've never been to the Big Island before, but I've only been to Oahu and Maui.
Yeah.
And but Oahu is just crowded and lots of traffic. But one day I'll go back to the Big Island. How many gyms are on the Big Island?
Yeah, so many gyms. It's crazy. I think at one point Hawaii had the highest percentage of people who do MMA. But I don't see that as much now, but I do see a lot of jiu-jitsu. We have just in my town on the Hilo side, I think there's 6 or 7 gyms. Now, keep in mind, Hawaii has a population of about either like 250,000 or 150,000, my island. I'm not exactly sure. But in the whole island combined, there's probably more like 12 to 15 jiu-jitsu gyms.
What?
Yes, it's insane.
What is the population of the Big Island?
Like I said, like maybe 150,000. And that sounds like, maybe that number sounds like huge, but that's an enormous amount of jiu-jitsu gyms for that little population.
Yeah, it's 150,000 is tiny compared to that. I just need a second to process this.
Right.
I mean, this is, and you have like 15 gyms, you said?
15 gyms. Like, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Well, yeah, there's got to be about 15 gyms.
That's insane.
And then there's gyms that aren't on the, like, you're not going to find on Google.
Yeah.
That I'm not even including. So,
I mean, if you think about this, like, we've got, between 13 and 16 million people in this city.
Yes.
Yeah, this has got, I'm from Virginia.
Yeah.
This city's got twice as many people as Virginia.
Right.
In this city, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so now let's take a look at Da Nang, which is about 1 million people. Roughly none people have one gym.
Wow, what's the gym up there?
It's a Henzo Gracie gym. But think about I think it's like 1.2 million actually, which is more than 10 times the population of what you have in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right. So that, to put things in perspective for our viewers, I mean, that is incredible, man.
Yes.
So, and then, what's funny is like, we've got 16 million people here in Saigon.
Yep.
And how many people do jiu-jitsu?
Not enough. I will say that. I'll say more people are. And I feel like if you guys continue to do what you're doing, and I know that is a big focus.
Yeah.
As you can already see, it's going to be a huge demographic, even if it's just like doubling the population that's currently doing jiu-jitsu. Because the big thing here is people just don't know. Like, one thing I noticed, like, so me and Paul went out a couple nights ago to just eat food with his family. But I was like, Paul, and I saw his wife phone, and I was like, the amount of people who are running and exercising is like 10 times what I saw when I used to live here. And they're like, yeah, everyone jogs, everyone exercises now. And so just like as this community, and that's just, I was just here 4 years ago, right before COVID, it was 4 years. And you didn't see anything like this. And so like just the shifts and changes in the direction it's going, like I feel invest in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like this is the time. And I don't just mean financially. I mean like, like good group fun, whatever it is, get good mats, make the gym solid, because like it has the potential to be such an amazing jiu-jitsu.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we probably, I would estimate less than 1,000 people do jiu-jitsu. And so it's like, and we have roughly the same amount of gyms as you do on the Big Island, but we literally have, so as in like 150,000, we have 100 times more people in this city. So think about that. We have 100 times more people in Saigon than you do on the Big Island, and the same amount of gyms. Isn't that insanity?
It is insane.
So it's like, but I mean, to be fair, 13, 16 million, a lot of that are locals that isn't the same. I would imagine that like the Big Island's some pretty fit people.
Like, a lot of those people. Fitness is really big there.
Yeah. So let's say there's only like, let's cut the population down to 5 million. It's still like, it's still, like 30 times more than what you got, so the point is, there is a lot of room for growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And certainly gyms shouldn't be fighting over a blue belt.
100%.
They should be going out and recruiting from the gyms to CrossFit.
Yep.
You I was just looking at something. There are so many pickleball. I think I see one right now at the pickleball court.
Yeah.
There's more pickleball courts. Like there are times I went a few weeks ago. I went to a noodle shop, and then now it's a pickleball court. That's not an exaggeration. It's actually happened, and I played there.
Yep.
It's crazy. I was looking at the Facebook groups
Yeah.
on the pickleball Facebook groups. They are in the tens of thousands, and there are like a lot of those. Like some of them are like 67,000,
Yeah.
21,000
Yeah.
people, and this is pickleball. Something can't even read the rest of it.
Yeah.
So it's like these are fit people.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Why did they try pickleball? Because someone asked them to try it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we just need to get more people in.
Definitely. And I think like those little growths of like pickleball is a great thing. I think one thing that's going to change the game out here, because right now, if you're into no gi, Saigon is an amazing place to be. I love no gi.
Yeah.
If you're into gi, like the gi movement in this city hasn't even really like blown up yet. And don't get me wrong, I'm someone who prefers no gi, so I would love to see what that fusion is going to look like in the future.
Yeah.
Because eventually I imagine there'll be a whole set of like gi guys who are real enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Gi
Like Master
athletes.
Jackie.
Exactly, Matthew Jackie and whatnot. And that will be beautiful as well too. But if you can maintain the level of cohesion that's happening right now, oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's really weird because in Hawaii, it's majority gi, right? There's not as much no gi. The no gi movement across America, I will say, has like grown significantly. But you still probably find per capita more people do gi than no gi. I would expect in most places, maybe not in Austin, but like in California, I'd imagine like those Gracie Baja schools are knocking out the amount of kids that are bringing in and whatnot. So it will be an interesting thing to see like that ebb and flow. Because I see like Saigon right now, the no gi population is huge. I would love to see it to just keep growing, but I also know at some point they'll probably make space for that as well too. So it's like the space for growth in this community is huge. And it's kind of fascinating to think about that. Like y'all have done so much with so little. Like as far as space, you know how hard it is to get like a good location here.
For sure.
And like how every gym, like from phase 2, when the gyms had even less equipment, to now when I go to all the different gyms and like on gym that he's building right now, it's just like,
I'd really want to pick your brain a little bit. What was Saigon Jiu Jitsu, the actual gym was like phase 1, right?
Yeah.
So you keep mentioning phase 2. What is what tell us a little bit about phase 2?
So phase 2, like I say phase 1 is before I came. Phase 2 is like when I got there, those gyms are established. You have jiu-jitsu members at one of these 4 gyms, because it's basically 4 gyms back then.
Okay.
There was other gyms, but they did not have as much members. You have a bunch of instructors come over from other places. I don't know all of their names. I think Enriquez, I don't really want to name them all if I'll say their name wrong, but nonetheless, they started their own things here. That was kind of this move towards phase 3. You got more people doing jiu-jitsu, more gyms opening. And then you come to phase 3, and that is all of the guys who were students in phase 2 now are coaches. And so they witnessed how phase 2 was very like isolationist.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to knock Saigon Jiu Jitsu or Saigon Luta Libre or Team Mora or any of those gyms. I'm also confident to say that they didn't practice cross-training enough. And some of them probably didn't promote it. The difference I see now is like when I was just at over-under, it's like there is no sense of like, you shouldn't be cross-training, or what are you doing here? Where in Hawaii, I can go to particular different gyms and I will still kind of get that feeling from certain people. And it's not just a feeling, you'll literally get how they speak to you, how they go about like welcoming you. We're here with the exact opposite. Matter of fact, every day I've gone, there's been a different coach from a different gym or a different competitor from a different gym. Today we had a guy, I wish I could remember your name, brother. I think Joey, or I'm not exactly sure.
Is he a real tall guy?
No, I think he's Russian. He's a MMA fighter. Jovidan. Today he came and Corey said, oh, he's fighting next month. Can you help him? Like, what do you see? What do you think he could be doing better? And so I roll with him a couple times and I'm like, oh man, this guy's freaking gamey.
Yeah, he is.
Whatever else. And then after I'm like, hey, can I can I'm going to roll with you, but I'm going to give you some advice if you're okay with that. And he was cool with it. He also wanted to get his rounds in. And so I didn't want to like bore him with like technique. And then at the end of the day, I showed him like something about how he can adjust for his style so he could pass people easier. And he was like, man, this is really helpful. He was like, good. I never even thought of this, basically. And so like the sense of, it doesn't matter, he's from a different gym. Corey's thing was like, okay, Dharma knows a lot of jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
But can you help this guy real quick? And if you can't help him, no pressure. But even on Monday, there was the big muscular guy. Well, he's like short, but he's like I know his name. I think he's a coach from another gym as well too.
Yeah.
Big neck. He's very brolic. I think he's a wrestler or a fighter as well. And he showed up to do wrestling rounds for the most part. Now, I'm not trying to wrestle, but I'm like, okay, I'm used to it because Hawaii, we have a lot of wrestling.
Are you talking about Raymond in the Motion guy?
He wrestling guy.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so then Corey's like, can you do some rounds with him? And I'm like, oh, okay. Mind you, Corey, I love you, man, but I've told you my stomach has been bad this whole time. But otherwise, and so I go and do some rounds with a nice guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Literally trying to like, he's also not trying to hurt me, but he's also trying to get his takedowns and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we're having a good time. I'm bigger than him as well too. And I know he probably being mindful, like he doesn't want a big guy to try to snap down heavy or something like that. At the same time, he's still game to just play. And so like there's this sense of every day there's been a different guy from a different gym who's either competing or a coach. And Corey's been really big on, hey, can you work with this guy?
Yeah.
That's just that mindset of like, yo, let's help. We're all part of this community. It's like, it's something special about that. Now, Corey doesn't surprise me at all. He's always been that guy. Got so much respect for Corey. But like, if that's the premise you set whenever someone enters your gym, that we're going to help you get you better, no matter what gym you're from. Yeah. I think like, this is the energy every gym needs. Also, I would say like moving forward, I really think the Saigon Jiu Jitsu community needs to be ready to like kick back to the gyms when they say, hey, we want to get new mats. Like, don't cheap out on your gyms, you guys. Like really like ask them, can I help? Like I do imports. So when I talked to Anna, I was like, oh, hey, what type of mats are you guys bringing in? And this wasn't even a financial thing. I was like, yeah, I'll give you my contacts.
Okay.
Just so you could get cheaper stuff, basically.
Oh, wow.
And I think like it's a big thing that the jiu-jitsu community doesn't think about a lot of times. Like you're going there, you're paying your membership. Saigon is one of the most affordable jiu-jitsu communities in the world. I just paid $100 in Bangkok for 1 week. Think about that.
Wow.
So
oh my God, man, that's like,
yeah, right.
Wow.
So think about it like this. If there's any way you can help out the jiu-jitsu community, like you don't have to show up every day, but like when you have the opportunity, like it's huge to kick back or say, hey, I want to get new mats at the gym. Do you think we could do a crowdfunding thing?
Yes, man.
And people who do it. And I know Corey, guys like him are so humble. He would never ask.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
I just showed up and I'm already like, maybe I could get some new mats here. You know what I mean?
What are some of your ideas on how we could make this community better, more resource, stuff like that?
Okay. So one thing I think is going to be really important, just because the dynamics are in Saigon, have an etiquette that all the gyms follow as far as like keeping things clean. And I feel every gym tries to, but limited space makes it really hard. But I think if people share their ideas on what they've seen at other gyms around the world who like have a really good etiquette to avoid mats from being dirty or whatnot, that's a good start. And like sharing those ideas and not being afraid to share that with the other coaches, or being like, hey, you know what, I'll get that for you. Or hey, the easy way. And I understand as a coach, it's hard to maintain those things. I have a gym in Hawaii and I struggle with these same things. Just be open to that. Another thing I would love to see, of course, is the community kicking back. I think it's a really big thing. Involve your community and they'll feel some sense of ownership and things going well. And don't throw ownership into it, because I think that makes things muddy. I think it's more so just like, hey, give back to give back. Because these coaches, jiu-jitsu coaches don't make a lot of money.
Yes.
You're not doing this to become rich and famous. I've been doing martial arts for 20 years. This thing has never been a part of it for me. But getting better and opening a space is huge. So the community giving back, second thing. Third thing is, you guys already have this on a lot, collaboration. You guys collaborative, like open mats. Also, like if that ever gets to a point where you notice people aren't doing drop-ins, I don't know what the deal is with that. I know people are really flexible from my experience here. Also, will you like do a gym pass, even if it's a little bit, where it's just like on open mats. You can go to all the open mats. You guys collectively work, figure these things out, where you can
Wow,
just do drop-ins at any of the gyms during their open mat days only, not for technique days, because that's how the instructors make their money.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, it's working together. You know, everyone wants to train with everybody. Make a path so they can do it easy. Another thing is, bring in heads here. You guys just bought Mason Florida. That was great. Mason kept it very simple to like I've been to so many jiu-jitsu seminars, and sometimes you go there and they're trying to teach something that's not applicable for a beginner.
Exactly.
Mason kept it super simple, really direct, and he gave a lot of details on simple dynamics. And I always tell people, the longer I've done jiu-jitsu, the more I realize I need to improve my arm bar, the more I need to improve my rear naked choke. It's the most basic technique. So bringing in guys who have a good sense of like, okay, what I should be teaching, huge. Bringing in guys, period, guys and girls, period, who have like a lot of experience is just going to be a great opportunity. Also making, this follows up that last one, making a comfortable space for those people. Right? We kind of talked about that day you guys had the seminar. Where in Hawaii, we have a gym, Exodus, and whenever they bring in guys, and as well as a Mita Jiu-Jitsu, they like take them out hiking, they take them to the beach, they like try to do some fun things with them. They may not be able to do everything with them, but they find a member who's interested in that stuff, and they kind of like, okay, could you take them to go see some of this stuff? And I understand that could be really expensive, so you always thinking within a budget, like, okay, we'll go there. Try to take advantage that are affordable. But what I have found is by doing that, the connections they made, perfect examples of the Rotulo brothers, they keep coming back to the island. They keep wanting to be around. And Saigon's that place like you want to come back to when you really feel how the people are in here. And you guys, the thing is, you guys live here, you know the spots, you know where to go, even if it's down to just come into like a little cafe like this. That's nice, chill. You have the potential to really make this a hub. And at some point, if ever it happens, you guys are able to find a piece of real estate that's really nice. I'm not going to call out any amazing, beautiful, big gyms here, but I'm just going to say, if you're able to get another space that is somewhat similar, because jiu-jitsu people don't really care about how pretty the space is. But if you're able to make a space that like appeals to a very large demographic, like, and the throw-in is coming from all sides, or the person who's really interested, I wouldn't stand behind it unless that person's very clear on like, this is going to be the open mat place on Saturdays because we can fit everybody. We got to keep it affordable, because I think a lot of times with those big gyms like that, they don't work well with everybody else. We have the same issue in Hilo with the largest gym there, which I'm comfortable saying, Penn Fitness. And it just sucks. You got the biggest open mat. Might as well allow people to come and not have to pay $25 to drop in. And so like those little dynamics, it really pulls a community to know that, hey, we're all looking out for each other. It's not team Kimura. It's not team over under. It's team Saigon. We're trying to get everyone out there. And like, it lets everyone know that every single coach has your back, no matter what. And I think like you're going to have differences. And as long as you guys can keep those differences behind closed doors, I think that's important as well too. You just talk to each other. And like the chances for this being like a jiu-jitsu hub, especially for no gi right now, the amount of talent you guys got here, and I was just rolling with Rob yesterday. Nicest freaking guy. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this, but Rob posted a video of me rolling with him yesterday. And in the video is just him pointing out, this has never happened to me. This guy swept me, but I never respected him like this. Versus all the times he passed my guard. Rob, great job. And so like, that's just showing like, this is the type of people who are in this community. They really want to get better. He could have very easily just posted like, oh, I passed this guy. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, community here is like the perfect community. I really hope the world is able to see. So
No, that's fantastic. Yeah. I think we can certainly take that information. I'm glad this is recording so we can go back and listen to this gold that you just gave us. We have so much talent, so much opportunity, and there's so many things we can do.
Heck yeah.
And if we just allocate and pool our resources and find a way so that we can all grow together.
Show you guys are organized too. If you show you're organized, people will throw their money. And like, that's the thing. Like, I can see it's moving towards that organization point where I'm like, I don't have a shitload of money, but I have money, and I'm like, oh, I would throw some money at. You want to see this, if you feel the energy in the jiu-jitsu community here, you want it to win. It's not even that you want it to be world champion. You just want it to be the potential that it can be.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just see where it goes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how long are you going to be here this time?
For about 7 more days.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, I'm glad that we were able to meet and get to know each other and live it. And thank you so much
yeah, man.
for it's a true honor to be on the podcast. And and I hope you come back soon.
Heck yeah, man. It's a pleasure you having me, man. It's been a
Yes.
pleasure getting to meet you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, brother.
Thank you so much.